it all comes down to a couple different factors. Now, let's just look at the example really quick with like California, right? So during the COVID, right, there was a massive outflow of people from California. Well, where were they going? Well, they were going to places like Texas, Colorado, Idaho, right? I mean, everyone knows there was this great migration, as we called it. So those markets were building homes and creating inventory for this massive influx of people they had coming into their states. Well, over time, that has slowed. The outflow from California has slowed over the last couple of years, and those markets that were the benefactor, that were geared up to take those people in, now have a significant amount of inventory available. There's a few other main factors that are driving this that I want to touch on. And I'm going to use Chicago as an example because the article uses Chicago, and it makes it really easy for me to pop up this data. This is coming from Compass, and I think all these graphs are from Compass. So we showed you the states. Take a look at Chicago. And what this has to do with is net migration for Chicagoland. So what it's telling us is that there is less people moving to Chicago, right? And you can see that with the purple on the top of this graphic. Less people are coming into Chicago, but even less people are moving out of Chicago currently. Now, that wasn't always the case. For years, Chicago saw a pretty healthy outflow of people. And they were moving to, the Sun Belt. They were moving to the Midwest. They were moving to other parts of the country. But we've seen that slow down. And what the article talks about is what we call the Great Stay, right? This kind of is in line with the lock-in effect that we talked about. Now, it's not all driven by interest rates. We kind of debunked that a little bit a few episodes ago. Like, is the lock-in effect real? And, to some extent, obviously, no one wants to give up their super low interest rate, but there's other factors driving people to not move. And what are they? Well, number one is affordability. So in order to move from a market like Chicago, as an example, where are you going to move to? And is it affordable to move there? So what's likely going to happen is some of these markets like Texas and some of the Sun Belt states and some of the states in the Midwest that have more inventory available, you will see prices drop in those areas. And as that spread starts widening, because home prices in places like Chicago are still going up. Why? Supply and demand, right? It's very obvious. There's no homes available, so those that want them or need them are going to pay a little bit more to get them. So eventually this delta gets wide enough and people start the outflow again, and they'll do it for affordability, right? So that's the number one factor, is affordability. Obviously, interest rates play into that. There's other things that play into it, but the driver is affordability. The second one is employment. There just has not been a lot of job creation. Matter of fact, I'm going to show this chart. This chart shows you hiring rates, just the overall hiring rates, new hiring rates, right? Look at it. It's at 3.3%. You guys, this is like a really low number. You would think just by looking at this alone that unemployment numbers would be super high. Well, they're not. We don't see a lot of unemployment. It's not high yet. It's higher than it was, but not high. But we aren't bringing on new people either. And it really takes that new job creation to create the movement in the market, right? Relocations, people taking new jobs, making more money, moving up as a result. So a lot of people are just staying in their jobs because there's not a lot of new hiring going on. So those are really the two big factors, is affordability and the labor market just being kind of stable, kind of flat right now. And so until those two things change, we don't expect a significant change in these numbers. The market's a little bit stuck right now.